Hi guys, back again. There was a record fair here locally today. I didn't take part in it this year because I wasn't sure whether I was going to have the day off. I ended up having the day off, so I popped down to see what I could find, and there was the usual couple of sellers there, plus 3 new guys, which was good because they're basically the people I bought the stuff off. So, picked up this George Harrison Brainwashed. This is like a promo version of his album. That was like £1. And the same with that one as well, Grateful Dead. I like these digipack, but I've already got this on CD. But I like these digipack versions, so I pick them up if I see them. Right, onto the records. There's some good stuff there. There's one guy that had a lot of good stuff, but I kind of had a look through and thought that's going to be expensive. So I went round, picked up some cheaper stuff, and then went back, and sure enough, it was expensive. So it was good because I bought a lot of cheaper things instead of a couple of expensive things, because I was kind of working to a budget. But I think ultimately I've ended up getting better stuff. First thing I picked up, well, this wasn't the first thing, one of the things I picked up was this BBC sound effects of death and horror. These are always a bit of fun, and I just thought that was a great cover. It reminds me of that, is it Brain Ticket album cover? But yes, and this is basically a list of probably 200, maybe not 200, 100 sound effects maybe, with things like branding iron on flesh, leg chopped off, what else have we got on here? Wind howling in ship's rigging. The electronic swamp sounds quite interesting. Snake hissing. Grave digging in wet ground and grave digging in stony ground. So that could be fun. I picked up this one as well, along a similar kind of theme. Frankenstein Passion. I have no idea what this is. John Stewart Anderson. It's on Columbia. From 1960, 67? 72. So, yeah, it's on that black kind of Columbia label. Doesn't even really look like it's been played. But this guy was selling his records for, I think they were about £3 each. I picked this up as well that he had. Another Scott Walker. This is actually different from the last Scott Walker one I showed. This is called the Romantic Scott Walker, and I think it's a compilation basically. But again, this has got the nice glossy sleeve on it. Cover photo is the same, but yeah, this is the one, and some of the tracks are even the same. But this one has, I think this is different, but it might not be. It might just be the same one. I've not double checked so far. He had 2 albums by the Modern Jazz Quartet. This one, A Night in Tunisia, which is on Atlantic. There we go. But it's on an Atlantic label I haven't seen before, which is this kind of orange and grey Atlantic label. If I can stop the light shining on it, which is quite cool. So originally pressed in '57, I think, that one. Or was it '67? Anyway, that was quite a cool pickup. And the other one he had was this one, Modern Jazz Quartet Django. This was on Transatlantic, which is a great label. but Transatlantic also released all the kind of prestige jazz. If you look, some of these transatlantic pressings have this PR instead of the usual TRA for Transatlantic. They have this PR catalogue number. So those, if it has that, it generally means that it's one of the prestige jazz releases. So it would have been released on prestige in like Europe and the US. But for the most part, they were released on Transatlantic in the UK. So I think that was everything I bought off that guy. Then I picked up this, just for the fun of it, X-Ray Specs, Germ-Free Adolescence, which is just a kind of classic punk album. It's that kind of punk when they shout out the title of the song at the start of every song. You know. Yeah, just fun, a bit of fun, that one. Another Ivor Cutler album. This is pretty cool. Jammy Smears. Again, this was £2, I think. He also had this Vivian Stanchel album, which I've wanted for a long time. This was, again, he was selling his albums for £3 each, or if you bought more than one, they were £2 each. So this was a great pickup. Cannes limited edition. Again, this is an original pressing with a laminated sleeve. Definitely worth more than the £3 I paid for it, I think. I think this was maybe I got this off the first guy because I went back to him afterwards. Robert Fripp Exposure. Again, this was £2. And finally, this album by Asherah called New Age of Earth, which I'm kind of hoping is as good as it looks. It kind of, I looked at it and I thought, it's on Virgin. It kind of looks like it's going to be a bit like Steve Hillage, and I kind of like Steve Hillage. So, and the guy said it's great. He had just bought an upgrade copy. So yeah, so that's that. That was my my record fair buys. I also picked up a Grail recently, which I think I'm going to devote an entire video to. If you follow me on Instagram, you might have seen a flash of it, which has become my my new best record. Every record collection has a pinnacle, and that is now my not just value, but on the type of music and everything as well. So awesome. Love to hear your comments. I haven't listened to any of these yet, so I can't talk further, but that's nearly 9 minutes of me waffling on, which is plenty. So yeah, take care.